I love podcasts. Hi, I'm Aaron Jones and welcome to another vlog coming to you from Niihama in Japan. And today I wanted to introduce to you my favorite podcast app that I use on my iPhone and my iPad, and not so much anymore on my Mac, but there is a Mac version, and that the name of this application is Downcast, and I love it. Now, I don't use the Apple podcast program because it had some problems when it first came out years ago, and at that time I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I didn't like, at that long time, a few years ago, syncing back and forth through iTunes to get the podcast. So when I discovered this program, Downcast, I downloaded it and I love it, and I use it mainly on my iPhone and my iPad, but there is a Mac version as well, and you can subscribe. You can subscribe to podcasts, and I'll show you the iPad version. I can't show you the iPhone version because my iPhone is my camera. Anyways, I use this to subscribe to my podcasts, and it automatically downloads a new one every time. And you can have a lot of settings. You can have it check after so many minutes or many hours, or it checks when you start the application, and then it'll download them. And then what I do, because I have a lot of podcasts, I make playlists. And one of the playlists that I use, I put for my driving, when I drive. And that is got a podcast that usually come out every day, so that when I'm driving every day, I can listen to them. So in the morning, usually by the morning, the program has already automatically downloaded the podcasts. And then when I go into my car, my iPhone syncs to my stereo system, or through my Bluetooth, and so I listen to my podcasts that way. And having the playlist is very great. It's very good because then you can reorganize them, because sometimes I have really short ones that are about 5 minutes long. I like to move those ones forward, and so I do that all the time, and that's how I manage them. And I have the iPad and the iPhone, and of course also on the Mac version, it can sync the podcast through iCloud. That way, if you're listening to one podcast or watching a podcast video on, say, your iPad, and then you go over to your iPhone, you can pick up where it left off. And when you're completed listening to one podcast on one device, it'll erase itself from the other device. So that's very handy. There's also a sleep timer. So if you're going to bed listening to podcasts, you can set a timer to turn it off after an hour or 30 minutes when you think you have fallen asleep. And also you can, if you do have a lot of podcasts and you want to listen fast, you can also play them in fast speed so that they pass faster and the speaking is very fast. So that's useful in some use cases. I don't often use that feature. I usually listen regularly. And that's pretty much all I want to say about this app. It's very good. It's very stable. I've used it for a few years, ever since it came out. The link to the application's home site is down in the description of the box below, so go check them out. It's one of the best podcast applications for iOS and Mac that's out there. As far as I know, that it's only for the Apple ecosystem at the moment, but if you're using an iPhone, an iPad, or a Macintosh, and you want a new way to download applications, download podcasts to listen to them, if you like me, go ahead and try this one out. I recommend it. It works well. And with video podcasts, what I often do is that I will AirPlay them to the Apple TV, and that's also featured in here, so that makes it really convenient. Anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about on this episode of my vlog. If you have a different program that you use for listening to your podcasts, please share it in the description below. I'd love to know other kinds and what you think about it. If you use Downcast, tell me what you think about it as well. And that's all for today, and until next time, see you then. Goodbye.